Night had befallen Ponyville on a cool summer eve. Fluttershy was sitting on the couch in the living room of her cottage and watching television. The equestrian news was on with a reporter from Cloudsdale talking about the weather.
Temperatures are starting to cool down now as rain clouds roll in from the northern region. We can expect some light to moderate showers later tonight, lasting until noon the following day.
The Pegasus Mare explains.
The weather is changing soon. I guess it'll be good to cool everything off. This summer has been warmer than usual this year.
The buttery mare thought as she lightly ruffled her wings against the couch. Fluttershy took a sip of her wine, her thoughts partially on the animals outside having to endure the incoming rain. But her other thoughts were on simpler things, like where her stallion friend Sombra could be. He wasn't usually late in getting home, and was hoping to share the bottle of wine with him over dinner. Her dark king must have been off doing something important. The news changed to an Earth Pony Stallion, bringing up the next segment.
Coming up at 8, scientists stumble upon a shocking breakthrough in medicine. Justice may finally be served for the murder of 14-year-old Citrus Seas, and most importantly, did Princess Celestia eat an entire wedding cake by herself?
Of course she did. Everybody knows her ass is so fat because of all the cake she consumes. How is she not a diabetic by now?
Fluttershy mumbled to herself. Without thinking of it, she started picking at her nose. It was one of those unconscious actions that anyone would do when they were alone. Just a normal random itch inside her nose. The door behind the couch opened quietly, so quietly that her ears didn't register it. Nor did she sense the sudden presence behind her. Suddenly, a shadow was next to her and solidified into the dark unicorn himself. King Sombra sat on the couch, his regal red cape draped across his broad shoulders and bare chest, his mane a curtain of moving shadow, yet still solid. His eyes glowed a brilliant emerald as he placed his hand atop his mere friend's head, thoroughly scaring the hell out of her. His buttery smooth voice growled out.
What's my lovely mare up to?
Fluttershy, whose face was red with obvious embarrassment and eyes popping out of her head in shock, just squeaked out.
Not picking my nose if that's what you were wondering!
Her wings were flared out, almost with the instinct to flee, but she kept herself seated. Sombra chuckled beside her and pulled the mare into his lap. Fluttershy folded her wings and placed herself in her hands. Her heart was still racing in her chest, and she was too scared to even look at the king. The two continued to watch the news in peace, and Fluttershy started to calm down.
Perhaps he didn't see me,
she thought as she started to look up.
I saw you.
Sombra whispered. Hearing that, Fluttershy buried her face behind her mane and whined. The sun shone brightly over Ponyville on a calm spring day. The weather team outdid themselves since the day was ideal for a picnic. Fluttershy was tending to her usual animal duties when she noticed movement in her home. She knew it had to be her housemate, the former tyrant, King Sombra. It had been a while since she was tasked by Princess Celestia with reforming him. She wasn't confident she could do it, and her friends feared it would be a more extreme repeat of what Discord did when the Yellow Mare was tasked with reforming him. Prevention methods were considered, but surprisingly not needed. Fluttershy was apprehensive about being in the presence of the intimidating king when she saw he had a fondness for animals and nature. It would be a lie to say his in-depth knowledge of flora and fauna didn't impress her. Spending time with him, she saw a softer side to the king, and learn more about him. Given that he had been gone from the world for so long, she found it charmingly amusing when he was curious about flowers he hadn't seen before. His interaction with the animals were also interesting since he treated them so gently, even adjusting himself to her feeding schedule. All the animals seemed to like him, except Angel, of course. And they had become so close, they started calling each other by cute nicknames. During this time, he was usually fully decked out in his regalia. There was never a day he didn't wear it, surprisingly even at night as he slept on the couch. But this day was different. When she saw him walk past the window, she noticed there wasn't the usual flash of red. She made her way back inside quietly and found him in the living room, looking at the bookshelf. She had noticed while he didn't wear his cape, hoof shoes, and crown, he still wore his neckpiece. She also noted the old scars that lined his body. But that wasn't what caught her eye. Fluttershy's eyes couldn't look away from Sombra's butt. It was incredibly soft looking and fluffy. She couldn't help but voice her awe.
Sorry, you have a really fluffy butt.
Sombra flinched a bit and his tail flicked. He slightly turned his head back and Fluttershy noticed a light blush on his cheeks.
Do you have a goddamn problem with that?
He asked in a grumpy voice. She could tell he was more bashful than upset.
No, I just noticed because this is the first time I'm seeing you without your cape on. You should do it more often.
Fluttershy's beaming smile caused Sombra to blush more. The former king looked away and grumbles to himself, obviously hiding his flattery at the compliment.
I was just thinking it's a nice day for a picnic. Why don't we have one in the yard?
Sombra flared his nostrils and snorted before nodding in approval. The two go to the kitchen and start preparing for their impromptu picnic. Stealing glances at the butter-colored mare, Sombra couldn't help but think about his old friend Radiant Hope. A gentle smile graced his face as he thought,
I hope you're resting well, friend. I will finally be okay.
Having gotten Sombra to let his guard down more around her, and noticing his fondness of her, Fluttershy started to take little chances to tease the dark unicorn. It was always little things such as playful flirtation, or little ways to distract him from paperwork. Sombra never voiced any annoyance at this, other than a few grumbles. Today was no different. Sombra, stripped of his usual regalia, other than his neckpiece, lay in the living room with a small stack of paperwork. Fluttershy, bearing a small devious smile, cantered in. She sat next to Sombra and nuzzled him.
What are you up to, Sombra?
Her voice was as sugary as a sugar cube.
Some annoying complaints from Catalog's citizens. Seems Princess Celestia trusts me enough to look over this stuff. Though it is tedious.
Sombra said, staring intently over the document in front of him. His concentration faltered momentarily when Fluttershy brushed her torso under his chin like a sly cat. But then he cleared his throat.
Little butterfly, kindly refrain from your distractions.
Distractions? Why, I don't know what you mean.
Sombra inhaled deeply, taking in the scents of chamomile and lavender, before huffing with a tiny growl.
You know exactly what you're doing, my pet.
Her long tail slid slowly under his chin, and he wanted nothing more than to take a tiny nip at it.
You've been doing this all month.
He heard the gentle flap of wings before her weight, light as she was suddenly on his back.
Butterfly.
Yes, Sombra?
Her front hooves rested on his rump. He didn't dare look back, lest his resolve be broken by the sight of her dainty, cute flank.
As much as I would love for you to stay there, get off. I will not fall for your distractions.
Come on, Sombra. Don't you want to take a break? You've been at this all month.
Her small rump wiggled against his shoulders. She continued to whisper tempting ideas to him, some slightly bolder than she'd ever been. He could practically imagine the bedroom eyes she was making.
Well, don't you want to?
She felt his back rise and fall as he inhaled deeply and let out a loud sigh.
If I fall behind because of this, you will be punished. Prepare yourself, little butterfly,
He said as he glanced back at her, letting the papers fall from his magic. Fluttershy giggled because she knew he didn't mean it.
I know. Who's my good boy?
There are a few things that Sombra can tolerate. Insubordination, politics, recent interaction with other nobility, and incompetence. The one main thing he can genuinely tolerate is his housemate/Mare friend, Fluttershy. She indeed was the light missing from his long life, and her kindness knew no bounds. But there were times when her kindness was his weakness. Such as now. He had managed to be the bigger creature and endure an evening of mingling with the upper crust of Canterlot society without losing his patience. It had been a request from Princess Celestia to attend such a formal gathering, and though reluctant at first, he did attend at Fluttershy's insistence to show that he had truly reformed. He had only just returned home and enlightened the yellow mare about the evening's events, and thus she was rewarding him with chest nuzzles and adorable cooing. Sombra let out a soft growl, more from embarrassment than annoyance or anger.
Stop asking me that question.
Who's my good boy?
Fluttershy repeated, nuzzling him more. Her wings and hoofs wrapped around his neck and back. Sombra never rejected Fluttershy's embraces. Even in this situation, he didn't want to. He just wished it was more for cuddles and not the same baby talk she used on her animals. Knowing she wouldn't relent until she got her answer, he let out a small growl.
Me.
You are.
She giggled, cheeks and flattened ear tips red. Sombra huffed and let her enjoy the moment. He would likely get her back for this. Some tickling as punishment, perhaps? A rustling sound started to overpower his thoughts. Glancing down, he noticed that his tail was wagging.
Looks like someone enjoyed the compliment.
More red colored his onyx features as he let out a loud snort. This self-betrayal would never be lived down. The evening was settling in. The sky had started giving way from blue to the lightest shades of pink and orange. Fluttershy was in her room getting ready for a meetup with Rarity, Coco Pomel, and Sassy Saddles. Her stallion friend King Sombra, in his usual, really near bear regalia, came in to check on her. She was still in the middle of doing her hair and hadn't started getting dressed yet, aside from her green top as her loungewear. A very devious idea popped into his mind.
Do you remember last nightmare night when I shifted into a creature from the depths of Tartarus to scare you?
Fluttershy paused, fussing with her hair, and glanced back at him.
I really wish I didn't. But yeah.
The smirk on his face became a grin.
I am capable of taking on other forms, you know. I can demonstrate if you'd like.
She took a minute to think.
sound ominous and terrifying. No thanks.
Turning to the living shadow, his crimson eyes glowed emerald green as he began to rearrange, as evident by the shifting of his voice.
I assure you, it's nothing frightening. I'll show you.
A shivering tingle raised Fluttershy's spine. Slowly, the shadow began to reshape and solidify. The lower body was the first to be revealed.
There are some limitations when taking on the solid form of somebody else, but
The voice reverberated, changing from male to female.
it serves its purpose well enough.
The torso, chest, wings, hair, and face were revealed next. Soon Sombra had finished taking shape, forming into an exact copy of Fluttershy, just as an onyx beauty. Even his voice copied hers.
So what do you think? I'd say I did a rather accurate job of mimicking your shape.
Fluttershy was stunned into silence, and maybe mildly freaked out. While, yes, it was impressive that her shadowy stallion friend could copy her shape, it was not something she could wrap her head around. She didn't even want to.
Change that right fucking now.
Was all she could say, and went off to shower. She may, or may not, have been feeling some interesting things. In the shower, Fluttershy couldn't stop thinking about Sombra taking her form. Was she also jealous that, even though he looked like her, he possibly looked better than her? Certainly not. But maybe.
No. Don't think about it, Fluttershy. Just get dressed and have a great night out. Someday and I will discuss this tomorrow.
She thought as she washed the shampoo from her hair and tail. Once the water ran clear, she turned off the shower and stepped out, wrapping herself in a towel.
I would hate even too bad. What would he turn into? Princesses? My friends? No. I'm sure you wouldn't do that.
She began to brush and dry her tail as her thoughts continued, wandering into the curious, intrusive thoughts.
What if he did? What would that even look like? I mean, yes, you look like an exact copy of them, but would that even be right? Certainly even show them. Although if he did, I'm starting nerdy with scrutinize and critique every little thing. And somebody might respond by pointing out what flaws, which might break her.
She began drying her hair and sighed.
This is really getting me. Maybe I should have dressed it while getting ready.
Fluttershy finished drying off and applying the hair sheen. As she came out of the bathroom, Fluttershy noticed the time.
Oh no! I really must get ready now! Looks like the talk will have to happen later.
She rushed to her closet and saw her outfit for the night was missing. Confused, she tore through her closet frantically.
Oh no! Where is it?
About to admit defeat, she went to the powder room and gasped. Sombra, still in Fluttershy's form, was wearing Fluttershy's evening outfit and admiring himself in the mirror. Exasperated and still a bit frantic to get dressed to leave, Fluttershy huffed.
Sombra, please take my clothes off. I was going to wear that for my lunch meetup with the girls.
Sombra, in Fluttershy's voice, giggled, bashfully hiding her face behind her wing.
Sombra, you must be mistaking me for somebody else. My name is Fluttershy.
Fluttershy let out a cute tiny growl.
I'm serious! I'm already running late!
You want your clothes back? Come and strip me down yourself.
Sombra said in a deviously sultry tone. Fluttershy's yellow face becomes red with embarrassment. She quickly picked out another outfit and grabbed her purse. She walked up to Sombra, trying to be authoritative and use the stare. But the effect was weak due to her embarrassment.
We will discuss this when I get back. You better be back to normal before I return.
She runs out and Sombra smirks, enjoying how flustered his mere friend was by his little stunt. Fluttershy stared up into Sombra's fierce, glowing eyes. The shadowy unicorn had the buttery mare pinned down on their plush bed and was growling at her. Small beads of sweat dripped down Fluttershy's forehead as she shrinks down behind her hooves. She wasn't scared of the dark unicorn. Far from it. She knew why she was being pinned. Contrary to her shy nature, she would get a small thrill out of teasing her stallion friend. And she had done so that very morning. It was all innocent teasing. She had simply brushed her tail against his, and then again under his chin during his usual reading time. Sombra had warned her against this. Not in a threatening way, but still a warning. She giggled, and after one final tease, she trotted away. Now, she was going to receive her punishment. She let out a tiny squeak in a plea for mercy.
Well, little mare, are you ready for what I have planned for you?
Sombra snorted, fangs bare and eyes glowing brightly.
Sombra, please. I'm sorry to disturb your reading time. I won't do it again.
Fluttershy whimpered, trying to lower herself deeper into the mattress.
Oh no, can do. Bad mares need to be punished.
Fluttershy gulped quietly and wiggled a bit, though she knew she couldn't run away. With their height difference, her body was pinned mid-barrel under the stallion. She couldn't try pushing him off because it would be fruitless. With no way out, Fluttershy closed her eyes and accepted whatever punishment was in store. After letting out a low growl, he stuck out his tongue and booped her nose with his. Fluttershy let out a tiny snort before giggling. She trembled, holding in her giggles. Sombra's fangs found the mare's throat, nipping at her and delivering a small wave of tickles to her neck. This caused Fluttershy to tremble more. Trailing down more, the stallion found that sweet spot just above her ribs and started nipping more. Fluttershy's suppressed giggles became a roar of unbridled laughter as she was helpless against his tickling assault.
Sombra, no. Please, please. I surrender.
Fluttershy helplessly wiggled, placing her left hoof over his arm in a hope of some mercy. After a few minutes of this, Sombra stopped and let the mare catch her breath.
So, have you learned your lesson?
Yes, I have.
She giggled. She was able to wipe her tears and look up at him.
I won't disturb your reading time again.
Not unless it's an emergency or a good reason.
So, teasing isn't a good reason?
Fluttershy fluttered her eyes. A mild blush tinted Sombra's cheeks as he looked away.
Well, unless you plan to follow through.
Fluttershy's face turned tomato red, and she hid her face with her hoofs. Tickling may not be the only punishment she may be getting in the near future. It was a calm winter day in Ponyville. The weather team had outdone themselves with the snowfall. It was a thick blanket of white with a satisfying crunch to be heard with each step. Fluttershy was walking slowly to enjoy the silence around her. The breeze carried the light snowfall and a chill that didn't sting her face as much as she thought. She carried a cup of cocoa as she walked, enjoying the feeling of warm hands against the winter cold. Her walk took her through the town. It was still early and the cold had many residents still inside by their fireplaces. And this included the Apple family, who would usually be out checking sections of their large orchard. The orchard was open to all during winter, and the Philly Scouts tend to use it for winter camping trips. So it wasn't out of the ordinary for Fluttershy to wander through the trees. Her rosy pink hair fluttered in the breeze that danced around her, causing a small tornado of snowflakes to move like little snow fairies. There was a small crunch behind Fluttershy that caused her to turn around. Even with the light snow, she couldn't see what made the sound. She could only hear her own breathing. She continued to walk until she heard an extra snow crunch. Looking again, a wisp of black caught her eye. She looked for it again, as it had disappeared. The next time it appeared, it was on her shoulder. The shadow was a very familiar black cat. Familiar because it looked near solid, yet ethereal. A smile graced her face as she took a small sip of her cocoa.
If you wanted to walk with me, you could have joined me.
She giggled. The cat wrapped his tail around her other shoulder before settling down. With that, Fluttershy continued her walk, with her Shadow King at her side. A long winter had come to an end, and it was once again time for the winter wrap-up. With the system Twilight Sparkle had created during her first winter wrap-up, it was a smooth but slightly exhausting process. As always, Fluttershy was in charge of leading the animal team. She had already given the bird team their rations to fill the newly built birdhouses for the returning birds, helped set up the bell strings to wake the animals hibernating in burrows, helped clean the burrows, and had a buffet of honey and berries set for Harry the Bear. Spring came on time, and as much as she wanted to celebrate with the others, Fluttershy wanted nothing more than to settle down for a good rest. She flew home and landed gingerly on her front doorstep. Upon entering her home, she smiled at the sight in front of her. On the couch rested Sombra, with a book in one hand and a glass of wine in another. Although, he was more comfortable than expected, as he was sans clothing.
Comfortable, Sombra?
Fluttershy asked as she hung her coat.
Very.
Sombra replies, not breaking his concentration.
May I join you?
The sound of clothes rustling softly filled the room before bare footsteps were heard. The steps approached the couch, but Sombra hardly registered them. He finally realized what was happening when the warm softness of Fluttershy's bare body lay on top of his. Sombra made sure to adjust himself as the added weight gently lay upon him.
Little butterfly. Tired? Did you want to move this to the bedroom?
It's so comfy. I don't mind being here.
Using his magic, Sombra closed the curtains and held the book aloft. His now empty hand caressed Fluttershy's cheek as she drifted off. With a book, some wine, and his mere friend resting comfortably, it didn't seem a bad way to start spring. Fluttershy walks by and spots you. She smiles and waves.
Oh, hello there. I hope you enjoyed these short stories. I know they weren't much and seemed rushed, but weren't they nice? Sombra and I have had some really fun and precious moments, so I'm happy you would be included in them. But for now, we're about to be on a brand new adventure. Ta-da!
She comes into full view, spotting a rather large stomach and rubs it gently.
I'm pregnant! I'm almost full term and really excited. I can't wait to meet our little foal. Sombra is really excited. He's gone all out with making sure we'll have everything we need for the baby. Oh.
Fluttershy looks down and rubs a specific spot before giggling.
So much energy. Want to feel my belly? The baby's kicking a lot today. Alright, I'm pretty sure there's a notification in there. So much energy. Want to feel my belly? The baby's kicking a lot today.
Oh, that's perfect. Great. Love getting it done in one take. Okay.
You contemplate it, and the warm smile on Fluttershy's face makes you consider her invite to touch your belly. But before you even reach out your hand, you feel a chill run down your spine. Like impending doom was assured from accepting this invitation. Sombra slowly materializes and growls at you, clawed fingers inches away from your face.
Touch my wife's stomach, and I will break all of your fingers.
You nod quickly and hold up your hands, intending to not go against the wishes of this towering dark king. Just at the peripheral of your vision, you see Fluttershy's less than amused expression. Something tells you this has happened before and will continue to happen until the baby comes. And maybe even long after. You can see that the parenting style of this unconventional couple will be interesting, to say the least. Thank you for listening, every pony. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to know when I post more content like this. Feel free to follow me on TikTok, Patreon, X, and Discord. Links in the description. And should you want to join my new nation, feel free to join the Shade Hollow, my Discord server. Good night, every pony.